Never enough. A toxicity of achievement culture. We have a generation now, especially in the last 2 decades. We are having creating a generation which is having an achievement pressure. Parents are always trying to make their kids into their best schools and best colleges, and children are somehow not sure what they're doing. They're more robotic, they're running around circles with eyes closed. They are lacking, or their worth is depending upon their achievements and successes. And more than they compete with themselves, they are competing to a outside world, extrinsic world, about how their other people are competing. Their worth or their success, it's all depend about their achievements and failure. So we are creating a hollow generation which is filled with anxiety, depression, and lot of drug abuse, alcohol, and everything. Because what really matters now for the whole ecosystem is to succeed, or to have a good marks and have a good career. The point is that, are we really winning on this game? The book is about an analysis of lot of such topics, why this is happening, how we can solve it, how we can approach it in a different way. That's all what we talk in this book. Let's get started. Life inside a pressure cooker. So we naturally think, as we know, like last 2 decades, especially after 2000s, there is a different way of thinking about school or schooling or educational system, especially. And it's not something about happening because of scarcity, or it's not happening on the poverty or less income community. The book talks about that it is more prevalent, or high stressed kids are in the top income families, and that somehow made by the market of educational system, and also the social status behind that as well. So students are having a no choice, much of it. This parents are dictating the choice, and also it's not starting school. Usually, you know that school start or different time, maybe 10 to 4. But now kids have an education starting from the morning. They will be having an extra tuition, and maybe after the school there is another tuition. During the weekend there will be a special things, and apart from the homeworks from the teachers, parents are giving additional homeworks to make their kids excel on that. Along with that, there are some talking about extracurricular activities in sports, music, and other things. And the research book is asking about, what do you want your kids to be? And the parents all telling that yes, we want to have their achievement and professional success. But what really they don't want, none of the parents actually want their kids to be a sportsman or a scholar. They are only doing it for the purpose of themselves or the part of the ecosystem. Because usually children's, sometimes it's considered as an investment. Okay, one way, like, okay, some cultures consider it as, okay, when we are retiring the kids will be there to taking care of us. That's one part of it. But in another way, if you talk about investment, is that, okay, you have to invest in such a way that you get a good return. So if you invest in good college, you have to get good returns. That's another part of the equation. So here, the whole investment perspective has been changed in such a way that schools are trying to reject things to attract. So more people are rejecting. That makes that school is somewhere high level like that. So everybody want to have it. Especially the high income families, they want to have their kids to the high income, like special school. So that's all adding that community. So risk or stress Even the book explained that kids are allowed to use alcohol or anything or let go of something on a weekend as long as they are achieving it. So it's somehow like a justification. We can see a lot of kids books explain about marijuana and other things. Parents are somehow accepting it as long as they are doing what they are supposed to do in a week, or they're crushing that achievement, they are fine. Imagine that generation going after college, they go to say going to work. As long as they're going to do their work, they will be going to use the same substances, or same addiction will be there. So we are creating such a generation where there is that much pressure, and pressure is not only coming from parents. For sure parents are there, but tutors, they want to make sure that the results are higher, and schools, they want to make sure that school is on the top level compared to the other markets, so that they can put high price to their school fees and other things. Same way, sportsmen, they want to have their sports in their school to be there because that add to the reputation. So the coaches have that challenges. Even research is telling that not only from the parents, the one of the main source of stress is the parents of their friends. Somehow previously in 1970s and all, you go to the college which is nearest to you, and it doesn't matter what you have your marks in kindergarten, or nothing matters until you almost reach to high school. But nowadays, from the moment you study A for apple, the parents are considering it as that is their status is under risk. Even it is not happening for the people who is ignorant. Even the author herself, she is writing this book. She tried to get her son William to an architectural class in Smithsonian Institute, where Andrew Carnegie's house was previous. It's a so a an architectural class. In some way, she is thinking that that will improve his passion to architecture. She somehow understands that this kid is interested in architecture, so she is going to. And some point in time, the William is telling, "Mom, I like it. Why don't you spoil my that affection to that architecture?" Because there is different way of think. Like for example, if I like reading, I go on reading and reading, or something else, I watch TV. There is a limit to that, there is a diminishing return to that. So we are creating a generation, instead of having fun in education or fun in achievement, they are putting in that much pressure, they're not able to enjoy that. That's what happening. So 80% of that is coming from the same. And environment also. So the whole environment is having that outsized expectation, which is making that situation worse as well. So we have a students living in a pressure cooker. Unpacking the parental anxiety. So children are now bribed to stick to their success. Okay, you'll tell that if you get this much mark, then you will get that, or you will do this, or you will get that one. So somehow they're in such a position. There is for sure identity of a kid or something, which go on when they're going to school year. It will improve and improve. Their personalities will improve. But nowadays, as I told you, pressure is there from the very beginning when they start reading the book. But there is a increased level of pressure when they pass the high school, because that all it's like a do or die situation. Your whole life success depend upon which college you attend. Such things are there. But the research is telling, like because colleges they are being ranked based on multiple metrics and all. But those people, like research especially for Gallup studies and all, they're telling it doesn't matter at all, like what is the college and all. But for sure it matters for the colleges, it matters for the parents, because somehow they want to make sure that they are going to spend that much best to their kids and all. But what really happening is that they are getting pressurized there. So as I early mentioned, the ancestors, we have a different situation of colleges, and in early decades, like 2 3 decades ago, education was just a choice, or education is somehow like, okay, something special. It's not something mandatory, or it's something which makes you what you are. Nowadays, children's identity is tied to that. That was not the case. There was a scarcity mindset now. Point is that it is scarcity somehow created also, because there are only limited seats for the high colleges, imagine, and everybody want their kid to be on the highest college, then that naturally makes supply is limited and demand is exceeding. Nobody want their kid to go to a normal college or a community college or something. If you look at all the CEOs or big peoples you have, most of the dropouts, like Zuckerberg to Bill Gates to Steve Jobs to Mukesh Ambani, whoever it is, Elon Musk, everybody. So all these guys, okay, they go to colleges, different colleges, but somehow they try to drop from there, even though they go to Harvard, Stanford, and everything. They drop from there because inherently they found that there is learning outside the college. One reason. Second thing is that they have an inherent reasoning that they know their self worth. They know they can do it. They know they can change the world, which was not the situation now. Even you send your kid to Harvard, he don't have that self esteem. He cannot detach himself from the failure. Like when Elon Musk fail, he don't treat it as he is failing. He tried to detach himself from that. That's why he's still surviving. But if your kid is, you're training your kid and telling that, okay, your success or your marks, that's all depend on what you are. Your love at home and your privileges you enjoy as a kid, everything is related to that. Then you are somehow degrading that authenticity or intrinsic value of that person. 1980, the psychologist Maurice Rosenberg coined the term mattering. Mattering is something like you matter more than what you do or what you achieve. That's what it is. Right now, okay, children are being tamed in this way. Also, they have to take care about their reputation in front of the community, in front of the children, also in front of digitally as well. We live in a digital age nowadays. So now the area for to become exceptional, because there is no dependence on how much. Like for example, in this channel, there is no exceptions to how much subscriber it can reach. Just an example. I'm not talking about subscription or something, but you see, Mr. Beast have that much subscriptions and all. But there is any matter of any walks of endeavor, there is no end of it. Like teachers, when you go with the marks and all, they will tell, okay, you can do better. That's how we're trying to get it. So mattering is what it really means: untangling self-worth, or detaching or separating the self-worth from achievement. In simple term, it is the simple smile you give to your kid when he opened the door after he come back from school. That matter irrespective of how he perform in the exam or what he do in the school, or irrespective of he fail in something, it doesn't matter. That is unconditional love. Research is telling 70% of the adult teens and 50% of the students told that parents love only when they are successful. So love becomes so much conditional. People are feeling that one, or children are feeling that one. A conditional, psychologists call it conditional regard. So no, there is no born inherent value for anybody. like whoever you are, it's including me and you, everybody, they are not born with a value. For sure you may be born to a family or a family name or something, but your value as you is being created by the experience, by the understanding, by the knowledge, by the environment for you. So that is somehow has to be considered. You everybody, like even Malcolm Gladwell's outlier explained about a lot of the successful people and how their timing and other things import as well. So that parent children bond, because as a species we are the most one of the most vulnerable species in the world. And usually as a kid, the parents are supposed to them there go for some protection or some support or some feedback. But nowadays it's opposite. You're not supposed to get a feedback or something, because Sarah Blakely used to tell that her father in her dinner table used to ask about what failure you do. Somehow that level of appreciation to failure and learn from failure. Bill Gates used to tell, make your mistakes faster. But in the current generation, you are you are so much vulnerable to take risk or take failure. You have to be succeed in every time, and you have to succeed par excellence always, which is unpractical and impossible. That makes it so difficult. Separate deed from the doer. That's simply as it is. Irrespective of your children have a marks or no marks, his interest may change or it doesn't matter. Also, especially for sure, naturally, when the mark goes, the pressure comes in terms of criticism. But Harvard study tell that not only criticism, praise is also dangerous. It also harms people. So to have a strong self-esteem, criticism and praise is both dangerous. What is really needed is an understanding of you, like a self-known or being known as you and being understandable as you. That's what really makes the mattering important. That gives an opportunity for the kids to reflect themselves, understand the environment, understand even their failure, and then grow from that. So knowledge or understanding is not stopping on an exam time. It even continue after their college. They are still going to read. If the generation is so much pressurized, they lost interest in study, they lost interest in achievement, they lost interest in reading, then there is no knowledge economy afterwards. It's only a pressure economy. So the children's, they try to learn from the adults. So the one of the greatest example of toxicity, especially now most of the parents are working, father and mothers and all, and especially working mothers, research is telling they are somehow spending more time on caring the children, because somehow they feel that they're not giving that much time, they're putting more time there. And most of the parents try to tell as something like a luxury, telling that they are making the children's first or family first than them, especially mothers and similarly fathers. So these children's, they are learning from their parents. They are considering it as they are not important, they're doing for somebody else, which is actually inherently wrong. Like we have a book in our channel on our best behavior talking about such things. I'll add it in the link. So parents self-worth, their interest, how they manage their professional pressure, how they manage the failure situation, how they respond to a reaction from their children, how they respond to their neighbor or somebody. Because I remember when I was in school and all, when I get a low mark, somehow naturally I know that my parents will ask, what is the mark of my friend? Somehow I tried to get that one immediately after I get my mark, because that is somehow a protective mechanism for that. So that level of pressure, how the parents are managing it, they're directly absorbing it like a sponge from the environment. And these generation are now going to go to the making a business or making a career. They will be in a similar situation. They will lack that spirituality, their understanding. That is why that much boom is there in the current generation for spirituality. The life has become too much materialistic, that there is a lack of meaning. There is a Viktor Frankl has a very interesting man search for meaning and all. So life in such a way that, okay, becoming a CEO is successful or becoming a millionaire is successful. All such things, or having a life in a big urban environment, that is successful. All that one somehow they come to know at a later stage that doesn't make any sense. Then they have to go back to spirituality. That's what happening. So don't worry alone. That's another thing. Somehow the parents, all of the things, they're trying to put everything inside them. They're holding it with themselves. They're fighting with themselves. They're not sharing anything. So emotions, expressions, family, relatives, that all have a sharing mechanism there. But somehow we become so nuclear, so atomic, that everybody is living on their own pressure cooker. So children are naturally thinking, okay, even I am there in the pressure cooker now in school, naturally I am going to become the same pressure cooker later. So if I don't successfully do what I'm doing now, I will not reach there. So that's why there is an increasing rate in suicide. The book also talking about lot of suiciding tendencies and pressure in such a way that children becomes helpless. Such situation is even happening in the city. Taking the kettle off the heat. Carol Dweck, famous psychologist, coined the term of growth mindset. For sure, there are a lot of motivational books. It somehow, if I make it very simplifies, that you can increase your ability and by putting more effort on it. I'll come to that topic. But before that, book explain about high income super zips or high income family which have $130,000 or more annual income and all. Those kids have very high pressure, because they somehow they are supposed to be happy. They don't have such restrictions or scarcity, but they're into that much pressure, because the point is the intention. Parents want their kids to be happy, and happiness means nice homes and high paying jobs or high paying career. So children feel that their, as I mentioned, their existence is an outside. So the that if you want to take the kettle off the heat, you should give an opportunity to reflect back. Like, childrens want a mirror to reflect back what is their situation. That is really important, because most of the parents, they used to, the book explain about Malcolm Gladwell's outliers about 10,000 hours and all. Like, most of the parents think that, okay, if they do more and more, they'll become expert on it. That was from Gladwell's Outliers book, talking about musicians and other people. They put 10,000 hours and this one. But what is missing? There is one more important finding in that research, is that those exceptional musicians, they, every time they practice 80 minutes, they take a 30-minute break. You're not giving that allowance to your kid, even though you're following Gladwell. They sleep for 8.5 hours or 8.5 hours. Usually, most of the kids now are not able to sleep. They have to study at night, they have to study in the whole morning also. Prioritize their leisure time 3.5 hours. These people, the outliers, or the successful people, or the experts, or maestros, as per Gladwell, who spend 10,000 hours, is all doing this one. So that is not where we are standing in terms of. So we have to reflect back and help that community. So coping up with hyper competition. So here nowadays, like imagine you being a big fish in a small pond. Is that good or the opposite? The research telling it's better to be a big fish in the small pond than a small fish in a big pond. So if your children is that they have their own interest and you're putting based on your worth or income, you're putting them to the highest college and ask him to be exceptional because that whole ecosystem, the whole environment is having that achievement pressure, as I mentioned about, including from the school janitors to their coaches to the principals, everyone have that one. Then you are putting that small fish in a big pond and that small fish will struggle. It cannot survive there. Nowadays, envy, like if another student get an award, usually we should appreciate, right? Naturally. Maybe we'll do that also. But inside, two things is happening. First of all, envy. Envy is an emotion which we feel somehow as a shame. We will not express it. Second thing, the same kids will have a feeling if I have worked well, or her parents or his parents will tell that if you work hard, you would be in that position. So somehow competition is not mutually supportive here. It's a zero sum game. Your win is my loss. Somehow like that. That's where we are standing. So the point is that competition culture exudes a self-reliance. You're not supposed to, like, you have to handle everything alone. That's where we stand. So surfer, for example, a surfer, he will his opportunity or his always he expect to have a big wave coming to just jump over it, but his worth is not dependent on the how big the wave it is, its core also. So your rival is somehow not your enemy. Actually, envy also, even the envy is not a bad thing. Actually, that is, you have lot of learning from that person. Instead of being envious or being toughened on that, maybe you can learn from that person, and that you can use that as a motivation to succeed as well. In that same book on our best behavior, it's talking about envy because it's one of the seven deadly sins as well. And there is another thing like puppy dog principle. The book is telling puppy dog principle is somehow telling that treat your kid like a puppy dog or a pet or a kitten. You're not going to put a condition on that puppy. You will love them unconditionally. At some point in time, okay, having support with education and other things is really important, but still give that puppy dog principle to the kid. So he will have that understanding or affection. Because if somebody is too much pressure about themselves, they will not get an understanding to think of the bandwidth of the whole thinking is somehow to protect yourself. And our one of the main evolutionary significance of our mechanisms is all, including our hormones to everything, is to protect ourselves. So if we are in the risk, nothing will matter. You cannot think about others, you cannot think about anything that is beautiful in this life, even as a kid or an adulthood. So that is an important topic as well. Greater expectation, adding value to work. So we grow as a kid, like focus inward and grow. So you have to not only look outside, focus inward and grow. If you more concerned hours, as I mentioned, bandwidth will be less. Instead, if the children are getting an opportunity to understand, okay, your success, because if you think about it, even your child become a CEO or a millionaire and nobody is available in this world, that $1 million doesn't matter anything, because that is a transactional value having because of the people around you is there. That is how the economics works. Same thing, if there is a CEO there and there is no company, nobody in the world is alive. So it's all relative to the aspect of that, what you can contribute. So the book explains a lot of volunteering opportunities where children's give an opportunity to feel that okay, in the service of others you have a becoming a meaning. That is really important. So you don't have to do it service to have a status. More than that, having that service mindset or giving, impactful giving, like Melinda Gates used to mention as impactful giving and all. So such things is really what makes the things more important. So ripple effect. So that is about scarcity to abundance. In Sanskrit, Indian ancient language, it's telling mudita. It is telling unselfish joy, room for every experience to happen and joy. Should create such an environment. It is actually possible by mattering. As I mentioned in the beginning, you have to untangle the achievement from your worth. The point is that that is going to have a ripple effect, because when we have a mattering is there, it is a powerful antidote to scarcity. Even you have it or you don't have it, even you succeed or you fail, you are still you are. That is important. When we feel valued, we see how we can add value. So that is going to have an incremental effect. Even you treat it this as an investment, or your children education is investment and growth, that is going to have a compounding effect there. Adding value, have a sense of value to the kid, he feel himself value, then he try to reflect himself and understand how I can add more value to the community or surrounding him. He will feel more proactive and he'll be more creative in his own endeavors to understand himself, understand the world, and grow himself and live successfully. That's somehow the last chapter. If you really enjoy the book summaries, feel free to subscribe to us. If you don't, you can give us your valuable feedback. We'll try to improve that or make it more enjoyable in the next summaries and all. Until we come across with the next book, thank you for watching. Bye for now.